I'm very grateful that Monique broke the ice a little, because as she told you already, I'm ill also. And it's not easy to live with it, but it's not easy to talk about too. And I think it's very brave that she came out with it, and it's easier for me to step in. I'm in the same situation as Monique. I lost my leg in 2011, and that was because in 2007 I broke my leg suddenly. I had a chemotherapy afterwards, and the disease didn't go away, so the process didn't stop. And as you can understand, after my leg was amputated, it even didn't stop then. And what happened to me was that I sat with my oncologist, and my oncologist, he told me, in fact, that I was ill and that I have, let me be open about it, say 10–15% to outlive the next 2–3 years. Let's sink this news in, people. That's not easy, is it? But the amazing thing is that I was filled with emotion altogether, as you can understand. But the emotions I had were, in fact, only two. I have only two basic reactions to such news, and they are very extreme. The first one is you think, well, now it's over, so since it's over, I better lay on the couch and weep and do nothing anymore. That was the one impulse. The other impulse is, no, just go to work, go on like nothing has happened, and it's no problem, get on with it. And in fact, these two reactions are both quite wrong, because as the oncologist explicitly told me, I have a 15% chance to live, so I can't lay on the couch and weep. Or if I go to work and do as if nothing has happened, I do have to realize that my colleagues will be faced with the possibility of an 85% chance of a not so reliable colleague. So these impulses are very direct. You don't think about them, and you do them directly. But they are both wrong. You can't follow them. Now, at this moment, I was bouncing from bitter on the couch to doing as nothing had happened, as my mother-in-law came in. And my mother-in-law said, "You studied philosophy. And is philosophy not helpful in trying to modify these great motions that your philosophy, that these great motions that you're faced with? Is philosophy not exactly, when you're talking about emotions, is that not the training of the intellect that should do something with your emotions and should be able to make them more smoothly?" I always answer my mother-in-law, of course, so I had to think about it and had to say, yes, philosophy is meant to exactly do this. That is, that when you say human nature gave us and is built of strong emotions on the one side, then the one emotion is, in fact, very much longing want to belong together. We want to belong to a group. We want to make part of a bigger whole. And that's exactly the same feeling I had when I thought, I'm going on, I'm going on, I'm staying alive, I'm not pausing, I'm going through, do as if nothing had happened. That's the one. We want to belong very strongly to groups. On the other hand, there's an emotion that wants us to stand out of groups, to be outstanding a little. In fact, that's exactly the opposite, because when you want to belong to a group, you have to give up your individuality a little. My English is feeling like riding a wheelchair on the left side of the road. But to belong to a group, a very strong emotion, you have to give up your individuality, but to stand out and be something on your own, and be someone on your own, means building your individuality. And so this is a very basic emotional stress, in fact, that's built into every one of us. Now you can picture these two emotions as two big horses before a carriage. And these horses, they pull you up front, but the one wants to go left to the other people, and the other wants to go left to be an individual. And behind these horses is a carriage, and on this carriage is a tiny little coachman, and this coachman is the intellect. So we've got very strong emotions and a very tiny intellect. Now, what my mother-in-law asked me was, in fact, does this tiny little person, this coachman, this driver on the back of the carriage can do something for you? And I think it can. I think it can. In fact, what classical philosophy is, and you could say classical practical philosophy, and I mean 2,500 years of philosophy, is in fact nothing other than finding a good balance between your very strong emotions and your very weak, faint intelligence. In fact, we're always wrong, we're always mistaking, we're always misleading or misled. So our intelligence is a big problem. But there is a very strong chance in making that better, because these huge horses, which are the power of your life, in fact, which draw you to your folks, which draw you to your own ambitions, these are the flavor and the power and the motors of your life. But they don't have any sense of direction. You always have to give them a picture before they can come into action at all. As an example, you see here this globe. This looks more or less like the scan my oncologist gave me when I was ill. You see the little left dots there. They were scary. They were scary. But I couldn't see that. So he showed me this thing, and I asked him, what's that huge thing over there? That's your life, and it's being attacked. At that moment, I didn't feel anything. I just got a scan and a talk from my oncologist, and it came in through my understanding, and there my emotions went. I went laying down on the couch or do nothing or whatever. So my emotions have to be triggered by images. So when we try to fix these images into better ones, maybe our emotions get excited from our better images. Well, that's of course what TEDx is all about, and that's of course what philosophy was all about, but I'm going to tell you some more. What classical philosophy always did was say to people, try not to react in the moment. Leave those horses alone. Pull back from the situation. Take a broader view. This is all trying to make that little coachman having a little view on the situation. When you pull back from the situation, when you have a complete view, then compose yourself. That is, make a picture, a mental image of yourself of what you want to excite your emotions with again. So that's, in fact, the entire stream of philosophy is just, normally you're in things, pull back from the situation, take a wider view, compose yourself, and sort out your emotions and your ratio. Everybody did this. Plato and Aristotle, they did this. Kant and Hume did this. Lao Tzu, and Confucius did this. It was worldwide, in fact, that all practical philosophy is nothing other than trying to get hold on the way your emotions drive you by having the good intellect, the good intellectus, the good view. Okay. People before us had to do that by standing on the ground. They had to stand on the ground, and they were trying to find what their role is in the world, what their place is in the world, and they tried to get a view on themselves, but all they could do was standing on the ground, looking up, and what they saw when they looked up was some sort of infinity that gave them all kinds of strange ideas, the infinitive universe, and when they looked down, they saw only their own shadow, in fact. The position of all these people and all the philosophers for 2,500 years was, I'm standing on the ground trying to envision my situation and not being fear of the infinite heights, and try to get an intellect, a picture, a mental picture of my situation. For us, since the 1960s, this has changed dramatically. We can use satellites, and we can, from satellites, look down on ourselves. When the former philosophers and people had the understanding of things, we could say, since we've got satellites that are just outside the biosphere looking back on us, we've got some sort of an overstanding. And this overstanding, Rory just told me I may invent new words, and this overstanding is a new word, of course. You could also say understanding and upperstanding, and when we all reach upperstanding, we can organize upperwear parties. But the thing with the satellite is not trivial. I would say, I don't know if you have seen the film of the TEDx talk of Barry Schwartz. Barry Schwartz talks about idea techniques, and that's the humanities and the ideas that are mixing with the technical. And he gives examples as the judicial system that is a technique to keep us all together in a safe way. But you could call the satellite an idea technique also. It's amazing that we can look down on ourselves and see. Like, let's say that I just told you that in the classical philosophy, that taking a wider view, we had to do that from the ground. Now we can take a wider view, really, from out of the biosphere and look back on ourselves. When we do that, we can zoom in on cities. You see the cities there lighted in the night, but all people are going about there. We can zoom in on a city, and in that city, we always see humans. It doesn't matter what city. The amazing thing is that when we look back with a satellite on ourselves, and these things are at hand, we can do that all the time. That is that we don't have to just merely think what all people are doing on the world, but we can really see it. We can zoom in on a city, and in all those cities you see enormous crowds of people so obviously, the will to be together, this very strong emotion, made us live together in immense populations. And the strange thing is, it's the city paradox, that is that this enormous emotion that brings us together so strongly leads to a behavior that is very individualistic. Individualism is not Western. Individualism is in cities. In cities, people are individualistic. But it is very, very strange that we have this urge to live in cities where millions of people live, and when we are in them, trying to stand out and be outstanding in them. Well, and that's, of course, the very important message that we can learn by using a simple satellite to look back on ourselves. That is that what philosophy shouldn't do is making our emotions weaker, because we need our emotions, we need our passions. But what philosophy could do is making the balance between these two. The balance can be made by looking at cities and seeing that people are with lots of people together and wanting to stand out, and that the wanting together is in fact primary over standing out. We always need the collective to stand out from. Even if you want to be a bastard, you need the collective, because you have to be a bastard to them. So, what I wanted to say is, I think that in our urban societies, we should attend more to the very great want we all have to stick together. And when we zoom into a city, you see that all humankind is driven by these two things, and that we shouldn't choose from them, but we should make intellect have them in some sort of a balance. Maybe our balance is a bit far to the individual, so look back on mankind for a while, because we all have these basic impulses, and we all have this weak understanding to get them together. So what I would advise to you is train your intellect with a wider view, use the satellite, balance your basic emotions, but do that kindly, as if it was in the humankind and according to human nature. Do it for all humankind. And then, when we all fostered our intellect, we balanced our basic emotions together, let's be kind to each other, people, for everybody is fighting a great battle. Okay. I think that in our urban individual times, we have to develop human kindness. And human kindness can be knowledge. It's not a hope. It's, in fact, human kindness is a word, a practice worth spreading. We are all desperately wanting to belong to each other, and we all want to be outstanding. I wanted to thank you for the great opportunity you gave me to stand out for you for a while. And my time is up. Yeah, that's difficult. My time is up, so I would ask you to be so generous, after you granted me the great privilege to stand out for you for a while, to let me belong to you again for some longer, because we've got lots of work to do. I thank you very much.